Well, hello everybody on this Saturday morning. I want you to take a close look at this. Uh, Look at the detail on that. I want you to know that this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by Pixels.com or Fine Art, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it because I'm wearing my Fine Art shirt that I did. That's Mixed Up Girl, which goes very well with me. And this is my friend Paul Reeves. I think it's a Paul Art Reeves or Paul Reeves Art. What was it, Paul? Look at the detail on that. That is absolutely gorgeous. Maybe it's just me, but I love the colors on this. But they do really good work there. And last week I had a shirt with Bill Obrist Jr. on it, which you saw. So take a look at that too. But I'm sitting out here relaxing on the swing again, drinking from my Paul mug, which is reading in tomorrow. And he has so many great works on his page on Pixels. If you look it up, we're going to be looking into Jacqueline Howe, the beautiful Jacqueline Howe, who does some fantastic work on there too, which I'll show you later. But mm, on these 100-degree days, it is wonderful to just sit back and relax with a nice, cool glass of lemonade or water with my Pixels.com or Fine Art mug. So, anyway, I am going to get up out of here for a second. Woo! Not again. The first one, it gets you every time on the first little bump there. I get hit every time on the ass. I try to get up there. But I am going to walk down here where I can sit down in the shade in this comfortable spot and not have to worry. And I can just set my mug right there by me. Isn't that fantastic? Woo! And I hate to say it, but the flowers and everything in the heat being in the hundreds, yeah, my eyes are just taking a complete beating here. So you have to excuse me. It's not the drugs or the lack of drugs. But I wanted to talk about two important issues that I wanted to get to, that I promised to get to on the last two videos. And that was, number one, I'm not advocating cannabis or kratom. I'm not being sponsored by any way, shape, or form, any particular company, or that we should be taking these things. Okay, this is just my own experiment, and during this self-discovery, I have learned more and more what's going on with me, and had gone to the doctor. Um, so we had talked about the split brain thing. This is not all because I've been sponsored by anything and I'm saying go out and buy some kratom, because I'm not. You have to really watch it, especially if you are taking regular prescription drugs. There's a reason why they say not to combine it. It does use the same pathway with the liver. I'm not really entirely sure what they mean by that, but in my layman's terms, I would say if they're using the same pathway, it may leave more in your system, one drug or the other in your system, because the liver can't break it down. So that's why we need to be cautious of that. So let's do that, everybody. Let's be really cautious of that, because then it'll give cannabis and kratom and some of these natural things a bad name, and they'll get taken off the market again. So I think we need to be responsible with this. So I'm going to say that right away. I'm going to try to be more responsible, and I'm going to be set a good example. And the second thing is, I wanted to get into the split brain thing because I didn't give a lot of details of what I meant by that. I realized I said I did, and I put some in my description down below on the other video, but I didn't really talk about it. I said very briefly in my description in the last one that I had lost the use of my left arm for 6 months. And I had gone to many doctors, I had seen the psychiatrist, and I went to physical therapy. And nobody could figure out what was going on with me. And so we get in terms of talking about how does split brain work. My first thought was it also seems to have some alien hand syndrome. If you're not familiar with that, you have a hand, and you see it in some movies, comedies especially, that just seems to go off and do its own thing. The person or the patient will just be speaking, and the other hand will be revealing a kind of a Tourette syndrome thing going on. And some of my videos, you'll see me twitching like this. When I get my Stone for the first time, the musical, up pretty soon, you will see one of my hands doing this, and I'm totally unaware of it. It is just going off like this. Now, we see this a lot in Parkinson's disease too, so I'm not quite concluding what I have. I'm not saying that I do have this, I'm saying it's greatly suspected, and it's going to take a great deal of work with a psychiatrist to see that. But you've got this thing going on. And the other thing is, my friend and I, my hubby, had joked, when I come to greet somebody, and I like them, but I also dislike them, do I greet them with, hello, how are you today? Fuck off. Or, hi, I love you. I hate you. Because I really do have that going on at the exact same time. And we all do to a certain extent, of course. But it's rarely that we're feeling those things at the exact same time and expressing them at the exact same time. Plus, we're having a side of our body react to it at the same time. And that's when we really get into the weirdness, is if you have some alien hand syndrome doing this kind of thing, that's when you're getting in trouble. It's not just, oh, I have this split personality. Oh, I feel two different ways at once. I hate you, but I love you also. Of course, we all feel that. Um, but I lost the use of my legs for 2 weeks last year, and it happened again a couple times. And then the 2 years ago, I guess it was, I lost the use of my hands. Now, when I say that, I mean it's not just doing this. I could not close it. It didn't work at all. I couldn't grab a cup. I wouldn't be able to do this like I am right now with my left hand and take water. It was like my hand wouldn't close. It didn't know how to close zippers. So for 6 months, I needed somebody to help me open car doors, work scissors, and do the Ziploc bags, and just simple tasks like dressing and making food. So it was very bizarre. Nobody could figure it out. During that time, I was feeling very, very, very stressful about the death of my mom, death in general. I'd gotten the flu, and I was very angry that I'd gotten the flu. I was already angry. I hate to say this, I don't want to reveal too much, but it's important for everybody to know, and doctors watching, that I was very angry at my husband. What about? Well, he believes more towards the atheist stance, and I came from a Catholic upbringing where I needed it as a coping mechanism. I'm not saying that organized religion is a good thing or that it hadn't caused us all to vote in a certain direction, to make it okay to kill people. I'm not that extent. I mean, like in wars, or even maybe personal experiences, people who really go off the rails, that God has spoken to him and told them to hurt this person. So I had my own personal philosophy, regardless of my Catholicism, and it was a coping mechanism for me. So when you have that removed from you, and the only person you really talk to is a person who shares a different view, it's very possible to use a coping mechanism like having split personalities. So I'm still wrestling with that off and on. And when I'm at my very most stressful time and I need this coping mechanism, which we could say God or coping mechanism, and it was removed from me, not intentionally. Like John was trying to make me realize that things that happened in the 60s and 70s, and they went through the Nixon era, that not all these governments and organized religions have a positive effect. So I said, okay, I do agree with that. Yes, I can see that point logically. But the other side of my brain was saying, I need this coping mechanism. My mother has died. I'm scared of death. And after, 20 years of this, and then my mom's death 10 years ago, I think I just literally split myself in half, because I see logic on one side and I see the emotional child on the other side. And now I'm seeing it at the same time So much so that I've lost the use of my legs and I lost the use of my hands. Now, when the shrink and I first talked about it, I came home and had a good chuckle about it because I thought they're really going off the rails with this. 2 years later, I'm thinking this may indeed be a possibility. Hi there. And here's Fancy right now. How are you doing? I don't know if you can see that young man. He's a very good boy. How are you doing, kid? He's hot. He's hot. It's very hot today. I'm sorry. It is getting to be 1900s here in the Northwest, something it doesn't do very often. So you'll have to excuse my vlogs here and my watery yacht. But anyway, um, doctors, if you're watching this, psychiatrists, and I hope you do, I want to be open about this. It's been very beneficial to me. I don't know if it's beneficial to others, but it almost seems like it'd be an interesting YouTube vlog to be sponsored. Maybe not me, I'm getting old and grumpy, but even if you had a younger person, I find it really fascinating. Like a daily life vlog of somebody who has a split vein syndrome. Um, so I'm sitting out here in the heat that I can't stand talking about this because it is so very, very important. And so getting back to that, which I do this, I trail off, especially while I'm still have the kratom in me. Well, I don't know if this happened when I was younger because I had a head injury, and I told you yesterday that I promptly told everybody that I could fly and try to jump off a treehouse. Now, I don't think you're going to show manic depressive symptoms at 3, 4, 5, maybe, but this came right after, and I can almost find the scar still. It's horrible when we get older because we could usually see, I could see the scar very visible here, and my tongue had a, you can see where I almost cut it in half, and now that I'm older, we can't see it, and I have no one to talk to, so I started that, and so when I went to learn to ride a horse when I was about 7 or 8, when they told me to take the horse and go right, I went left. And when they told me to go left, I went right. Now I'm still experiencing this during stressful times where I get like this. When I recovered the use of my arm, even during my stressful times, I have to close my eyes and do a task. If I'm putting something away or doing dishes and I have things in both hands, I get them mixed up. And I go to set something down, and the thing that I want up on a shelf, I've actually dropped on the floor. So that happens too. And I found I write my words backwards. I was blaming, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's rude. Talk when you can. I was blaming the computer for my problems when it found out it was actually me putting the words backwards. So, and I apologize I can't do this too long because we're into 12 minutes and it takes too long to upload. And this is a better camera than the other one. But I want to do this more. So I want to get in a greater and greater detail and do more daily vlogs. So I try to keep them short and just do more and more detail each day. So I apologize for that. I'm not trying to clickbait and get you going here. But I'm not trying to do the stay tuned. But stay tuned. So as I remember these things, I will tell you, because this is all becoming very clear and apparent to me also. Very hot. But those are the things that I remember right now. And I think that sets it apart from normal, oh, I have two different thoughts at the same time. Because when I take these drugs, kratom and cannabis even, or the prescription drugs, it's only working on one side of my brain, or I can almost feel a quarter of my brain not working. I'm pretty sure the injury is more on this side, and I think I can almost see a scar on this side, which means, of course, maybe this side wouldn't be working. But I'm not an expert on this by no means. So please do your research. But I will be honest with you as possible. I will go out on a limb. I will probably embarrass myself. It's not going to help me get a job if I go to a job interview. So, but I'm almost 60, so I'm going to try not to worry about that. Yeah, all those things. There was going to be a couple other things I'm going to say, but this is just getting to be too long. And I want to do this in a way that I can keep you interested and not lose my lose my trail of thought or lose my audience here. So, but I really appreciate everybody who's been so kind to me. I put a little note on Twitter. It makes it easier for people to talk about mental illnesses or just unusual mental conditions, which is so difficult to talk about. And it's so difficult to talk about uh, kratom use, is that how I say it, and cannabis. So let's try to keep those lines of communication open where it's a safe place, because I think that's really important to have that safe place. And to even mention that kratom does seem to make orgasms stronger. If you get this far in this video, you it does improve your well-being and sexuality, and the orgasms do seem to be stronger. I'm not saying how I achieved that, whether it was self-manipulation or someone else, but I'm just telling you it does seem to help with that. And I appreciate the new things out on kratom. If you read them in the June updates, they do say may cause these problems. They've gone from it is going to be very dangerous to it may be. For all those people who are trying to get off of opiates, we need to keep this not legal, but the possibility of staying legal, and the communications very, very open and very comfortable. That flow of communication going back and forth from doctors, psychiatrists, and even the government, the disease control, so we can keep these legal. Okay, so again, I'm not advocating it. I'm not sponsoring anything. I'm just a person who's been struggling and wanted to share my thoughts on it. I'm almost 60, so I'm probably going to be a little more honest than young people, but maybe not. Uh, there's all these Instagrams and people running around nude like myself. So, but I do have a little bit more experience. Many journals. I've kept journals for years and years, so I have that insight. I have to go back and read them myself, but I just want you to be aware that I have all that if you have any questions, and we can kind of go through this journey together, where you are a doctor, or whether you are a patient, or whether you're just a person like me who's struggling and a little bit curious. So let's keep these lines of communication going. I'm into 17 minutes here, almost getting too long, so let's visit with this a little bit later today, or tomorrow when it cools off. I don't mean to be brushing my hair. It's very distracting, but I'm just sweat's dripping down me. Okay, so I love you guys. Thank you for your understanding, and hopefully we're going to talk real soon. And once in a while I'll take breaks to do something silly and get back to my deafness and how that also affects my daily living and the drug use. So hang in there if it's hot in your area, and if it's not, summer's coming. Watch out. Love you guys.